In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a website with Divi. So what I'll be doing a bit different here is I have a show which I do on Wednesdays and Saturdays where I do website reviews. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to choose a website from the sites that I reviewed and then redesign the homepage and show you the process that I would do to achieve the final design. So the website I'll be reviewing or I'll be redesigning is this one right here. It was submitted by Karen. So it's going to be interesting to see my final take on this. So watch me step by step as I recreate this website using Divi. Today's episode is brought to you by divicake.com. Check out the huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link is in the description below. Okay, so this is the website that I'll be recreating. So I'll only be doing the home page. So this is the page that I'll be redesigning. So this will be my take to this page design. All right, so let's dive in and let's get started. So right now I'm in my admin dashboard of my website. So I'm going to go ahead now and add a brand new page. Click on add new. So I'm just going to call this page dentist. Click on use the Divi builder. And then I'm going to go straight to the visual builder. Right, so what we want to do here is to build everything from scratch. So I'm going to click on build from scratch. And we're going to start off with a full width header. So I'm going to click this plus button here, click on full width, and we're going to go to full width header. Great. So we have a great starting point. The next thing we're going to do now is to add our background image. So I'm going to scroll down here, click on background, and we are going to add our background image. So the image I'm using here is already in my media library. So I'm just going to click on it and click upload an image. So the reason why we're using this image of this dentist practice is because we want that when people come to our website, they know exactly what the website does and what the website is about. So this is why this will give us a hint of what is going on the website. Great. So the next thing we're going to do now is to pretty much save this. And then I'm going to delete this section that we have here on the top. And then I'm just going to take a quick look here and see what is next. Okay, so here we have this text right here. So I'm going to copy that. And then we are going to add a new section. So I'm going to click this plus button, add a regular section, and we need a single column. So in there, we're going to have a text module. I'm going to select it. And then I'm just going to paste my text in here, just like that. And then I won't worry about the grammar checks here. So I'm just going to add my heading 3 because that's the title. Like that. Right. So the next thing I'm going to do is to come over here to design, click on heading text. So we're going to go to heading 3 and I am going to change the size. So first of all, I'm going to make it all caps. And then for my font, I'm going to click on font weight and click on light. And then finally, I'm just going to make this slightly bigger. So let's go with 32. Great. Right. So that looks okay. The next thing I want to do now is to center this. And I'm also going to go to the text and center it. So I'm going to scroll down here, find the text, go to text orientation and center this as well. Great. Now let's work with the sizing because right now this paragraph is a bit too wide. So I'm going to come over here to sizing. And for the width, I'm just going to reduce this to about, let's try 80%. Okay, I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to go into the text and adjust our size because the size is a bit too small. So I'm just going to increase this to about 18. And for the line height, 1.8, that looks great. So I think that looks fine. So I'm going to go ahead with that. So I'm going to save this. Now let's go back to our top area here and do some work. So I'm going to click here on the module settings. So the first thing I want to do is to come over here to design, click on layout and make this full screen. Okay, so I'd like this to cover the whole screen like that. So as I mentioned, this is a dental practice. So we just have an idea here of this blurred image that this is a dental practice. Right, so the next thing I want to do is to add my image. So I'm going to come back over here to content, click on images, and the image I need is going to be the header image URL. So I'm going to click this plus button here. Click on media library. So I have quite a few images here, but you can choose the image that works with your layout. So what I need here is perhaps an image of someone who's smiling. So I'm going to select this image right here, click on upload an image, and now you can see we have our image. Great. So the next thing we need to do now is to add our gradient here in the background. So I'm going to come over here to my background, click on the second tab, click this plus button, and we're going to add our gradient. So over here on the second color, I'm just going to drag this all the way down because I don't want my gradient to show. I just want this to fade into my image. And then this is one of the most important steps. So you need to make sure that place gradient over image or place gradient above image is selected. So I'm going to click on that. So now we can see we have this blue on here. So this is great. Now, the direction doesn't look right. So let's have this at 90 degrees because we want this gradient coming from the left. Okay, so I'm just going to type it again. 90 degrees. Great. So we can see here that it's covering most of the left side. Okay, I'm happy with that, but if you want to make further adjustments, you can always come here and adjust the end position like that. So you can just bring this in a bit. So let's do this at 50%. Okay, that's much better. And also, if the intensity is a bit too high here, you can always click here and reduce the color or the transparency, just like that. So you don't want too much of this. Okay, so that looks great. Now, finally, what we need to do is to go in and adjust our text. So I'm going to come over here to design, go into text. Right, so I'm going to start off with our title text. So I prefer this to be light. So I'm going to select that, make this bigger. So let's go with 40. So what you may as well do here is you want to go in and make sure that everything looks fine on these other devices, your tablet and your smartphone. So I'm going to click here on the tablet. So I can see here that it's not too bad. Right, so everything seems okay here. So I'm just going to go back here and just leave that as it is. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to go to my body text. And I'm going to increase the size here to about 18. Right, so this is similar to what I did here on the bottom. So you want to make sure that the sizes that you use are pretty much the same throughout for your paragraph text for consistency's sake. Right, so my line height is 1.8 as well. So it's now easier to read. So the next thing we want to do now is to customize our button because we don't want to use the button that comes by default with elegant themes. So let's change that. So I'm going to come over here and this is button 1. Make sure you click on use custom styles for button. Right, so with that selected now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a background color. So I'm going to start with white and then I'm just going to add a transparency to that white. Great, so I'm happy with that. The next thing I want to do for the border is I don't need the border here, so I'm just going to get rid of that. So here you have a choice. You can either have this transparency on this, or you can add a solid color onto that button like that. And again, you can adjust and see what works for you. Okay. Or you can go with orange. But you want just something that is visible when someone comes onto your website. So I'm just going to leave this color as it is. So I'm pretty much happy with this. So what I could actually do here is I could add the titles like tooth whitening, creating beautiful, healthy smiles every day. Okay, so that would work well here. But in fact, you know what? I'm just going to leave this dummy text as it is. But the idea of this tutorial is just to show the layout and how I would have designed that homepage. Great. So now that I'm happy with this, I'm going to go ahead and save. Great. So that's our main page. All right. So let's move on and let's see what else we can add here. So new patients welcome. Okay. So this is our next section. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to do something slightly different, which is what I suggested in the tutorial as well. And let's first off start by adding our section. So I'm just going to come over here to my wireframe mode because I can't really add my sections easily. So I'm just going to click this plus button, click on regular, and I need 2 equal columns. On the left here, I'm going to add an image. like that. I'm just going to save this for now. On the right, I'm going to add a text module. So right now I'm just adding all my elements, and then I'm going to switch over to my desktop mode and then add what I need. And then what else do I need here? So let me just check. So patient recommendations. Okay, so that's another section. We might as well just add it here quickly. So this is going to be a regular section, single column. Great. Right, so now I'm just going to switch back over here and just take a look at this. Okay, so it's looking fine. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do now is to go into my module and add my image. So I'm going to click this plus button here and let me add my image. So the image I'm going to go with here is, let's take a look. Right, so let's go with this image here. This young girl. Okay, I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to go into my row settings and make sure that this row is full width, because this is very important for this section. So I'm going to come over here to design, click on sizing, make this row full width. Yes, that's what we need to do. And use custom width. No, we don't need that. So the next thing we need here is our gutter width, and make sure that this is set to 1. And this is because we don't want to have any gaps here with the content that we are going to be adding on the right. All right, great. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to add my background color. So I'm going to come over here, click on background, and the background I'm going to add is background 2. So I'm going to click this plus button, and we're just going to add our color just like that. And then I'm going to save. Right, so this is really coming together now. So over here, I'm going to add my text module. So I'm going to click here in my text settings, and I'm going to paste my text in here like that. So that title, new patients welcome. I'm just going to make that a title by adding my HTML like that. Right, so I've got my HTML text. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to add color to our text. So as you can see, we can't read our text on this background. We need to make the text white. So I'm going to come over here to text. In fact, I'm going to come over here to design, text, and we are going to change our colors. So I'm going to come over here to my text color. Make sure that it's white. On text orientation, let's center this. So now we can see our title here hasn't changed color yet. So we're going to come over here to our heading text, change the color. In fact, we need to make sure it's H3, remember? So I'm going to select my color. And then over here on the sizing, our text is edge to edge. So that's not what we need. We want to make sure that our width is about 60%, like that. Okay, that looks fine. Right. So we can go ahead now and save. And the next thing I'm going to do is to add my call to action button. Like that. And then over here for the link, I'm just going to add a blank link for now. Design. And then we need to make sure that this is centered so that it works well with the design that we have here. Right. So it's all centered now. So now we need to customize the button. So I'm going to come over here to button and click on use custom styles for button. Right. So with that now, I need to add a color to my button. So I'm going to click here on add background color. Like that. So the border color, we don't really need the border. So I am going to get rid of the border width. Great. And also the border radius, to make sure that everything looks similar to what we have here on the top. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Okay. So now it is time to change our color on the text, our text color on the button. Right. So button text color, let's make it white so we can read it easier. And then we want to come over here to spacing. So for the top, I'm going to add a margin of, let's say 20. Okay. Because it's too close to our text. And for the bottom, okay, let's put 80 for now. Right, so I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to come over here to my row settings, click on design, sizing, and then use equalize column height. So now all the content that we have here are pretty much the same height as the image that we have here on the left. Great. So I'm going to save. And then finally, I'm just going to come over here to my text module and add some margins. Okay, so I'm going to come over here to spacing, and I'm just going to use the dial now to make sure that everything is in place. So I pretty much want this centered. So let's go with 220. Right. Now the trick here is you want to make sure that this looks great in all devices. So I'm going to click this little icon here and click on tablet. Let's take a look at how it looks here. So we can see there's more padding here at the top. So let's reduce that. Okay, so that looks better. It's fine. So for the smartphone looks pretty much okay. So I'm just going to reduce this a little bit like that. Great. So that looks fine. I'm going to save this. So I'm pretty much happy with that. Now, we can see the sizes here are not consistent. So let's go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to come over here and just go into design, heading text. So first of all, we want to make sure that our font weight is light for our heading. Okay, great. And I'm going to increase the size here to about, let's say 32, and my line height. Great. So next, I am going to go for my paragraph text. Click on text. Then I'm going to increase my size to 18 and 1.8 for my line height. Okay, so that looks great. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead now and save. Right, so let's take a look here and see what's next. So these are our testimonials. So the way we could do this is, right, let's see. Let's go in and add a slider. Okay, so I'm going to select my slider. So the next thing I want to do is I'm just going to go into the background and change this color. In fact, let's make it white. No, but if I make it white now, whatever color I'm going to add, it won't work. So I'm just going to make it transparent and save. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is to come over here to my section and make sure that I add a background color to my section. So the color we're going to use here is, now this color is way too close here. So let me see what I can add in the middle. Okay, so we can see here that we have these videos. So why don't we add a section which has videos above our testimonials? Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to save this for now. And then I'm going to add another section here by clicking this plus button, the regular section. And I need about 4 videos. So I'm going to click 4 columns and I'm going to add my video. Right. So I'm going to select my video module. So right now I'm just going to go with the placeholder videos. Come over here to overlay, click this plus button, and I'm just going to add my overlay image like that. Okay, so for now, I'm going to save. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do here is to make this row slightly bigger. So I'm going to come over here to my row settings, click on design, sizing. We'll make this row use a custom width. So let's start off by maybe trying 80% or maybe even 70%. Right, I think that's better. Save that. Right, so I'm just going to check and make sure that things are okay here with my image. Okay, so you can see my video is in here. So the next thing I want to do is to add an overlay image. Click this plus button. And then I'm just going to use an image from my image library. So let me just go ahead and use this one here. Click upload an image. So that image now is going to be used as my overlay image. Now we can see the play icon here is not visible by default. So you can always go in and adjust that by coming over here to design, click on play icon, and you can give it a color just by clicking here like that. Okay. So actually maybe that would work. Okay, let's go with that dark gray. Right. But anyway, you know where to go in and make those changes. Right. So I'm pretty much happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead now and save. So all we have to do now is just to duplicate this a few times and add this into position. Duplicate this one more time. So pretty much these are these 4 videos that we have right here. Okay. So I'm going to copy the title and add my title here on the top. So I'm just going to duplicate this row, and on the top here, I'm just going to change this to a single column. Delete this module. And this time I'm going to add my text module and add my title. Right, so for this to work, this needs to be centered as well. So I'm going to come over here to design, text, and for text orientation, centered. Right, and then over here, I am going to make sure that this is all caps. In fact, let's just leave it, as it is. But we want to make sure that this is about size 32 because this has been the sizes of our titles. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is to add another row because we need to add a title for this section. So I'm going to come over here, click this plus button. We need a single column. So I'm going to select that. And in that, we're going to have a text module. Okay, great. So here we are going to add our title. In fact, I'm going to add it here so it doesn't have all the CSS. Great. So now that we have our title, we can actually assign a heading 3 to this. Right. So next we're going to come over here to design, heading text, heading 3, and we are going to change the size. But before we do that, we want to make sure that this font weight is set to light because that's what we have pretty much throughout our design. And the size here needs to be size 32. Okay. And then we want to make sure that this is centered. Save that and then just drag this to the top. Okay, great. So while we're on this section, we might as well add some padding to this. So I'm going to just use maybe 110 and 110 for the top. Okay, so this just makes sure that we have some breathing space around our area here. Okay, so that looks great. And then over here on this section on the top, we're just going to make sure that we reduce that. And now because it's white, it doesn't really make a difference, but you can always add zeros to your padding for your sections and also for your rows. But this works fine anyways. Great. So now that we have this on the top here all set, you can always go in and add your images for your thumbnails. All right, so over here now, let's make some changes to our testimonial section. So I'm going to come over here into my module settings. So I'm just going to work on one slider, and then the rest of the sliders, you can always go in and make those changes. Right, so I'm going to start off with this one here. I'm going to click this plus button, and I'm going to add my image. So I'm going to click on Add Media, click on Media Library. Right, so let's see. The image I'm going to go with is this one right here. Select that. Okay, great. Now we have a title here which says your title goes here. We don't need that, so let's get rid of it. Okay, so that's the heading. That's gone. And then our text here is fine. And if people want to see like more testimonials, you can create a dedicated page which has more testimonials. And this could be just a link to the testimonial. Okay, so this is how I would present my testimonial. And then on the top here, I could just say what our clients are saying. So let's do that. So I'm going to come over here. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to save. I'm going to duplicate this and then just drag this to the bottom here. Right, so we need to change the color. So I'm going to go into the settings, design, heading text. Make sure I'm clicking on heading 3 and change my color just like that. So this now can be renamed to what our clients are saying or client testimonials. Save that. And then we're just going to add some padding here. Then we can also do the same here. Just reduce that space that we have. Click on spacing and we're going to use our margins for that. Save that. I'm also going to come into our module settings here. Click on design, spacing, and also reduce that height. just like that. Okay, so that looks great. I'm going to go ahead now and save. So as you can see, this is a slider, so you can always, add your slides in here, and these will be your testimonials. Great. So now that we have the testimonial area, we have the videos, we also have this area here where our patients are welcome and also a call to action. So pretty much it's looking great. Now let's take a look here and see what else we need to add. Right. So we are going to need our surgery images. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. So I would add my surgery images above the testimonials. So I'm just going to come over here, click this plus button and click on regular. Right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a gallery. So I'm going to select my gallery module, add my gallery images. So all my images, I got them from pixabay.com. So that's the website you want to go to. It has a lot of royalty-free images. So for now, I'm just going to use a few images. Right, so we need 4. So I'm going to go ahead with those. I'm going to select them. So it's going to take a while for them to load. In fact, my computer is really, really slow. Okay, so there we go. Those are our 4 images. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my elements and make sure that show title caption is set to off and there's no pagination for this. Right, so we're not done yet because we really want this to look really, really nice. So the next thing I'm going to do is to come over here to design, click on layout. So we want this to be a grid, which is great. So we can choose a slider or a grid. So in fact, let's try a slider and see how that looks. Okay, so this is the slider, but no, let's go ahead with the grid. Okay. So if you want to add some image borders here or rounded corners, you can always do them here. But in this case, we are not going to mess around with that. Okay, so what I'm going to do next now is to go into our background section here. Click on background and we are going to add a background color. But what we're going to do is we're just going to add a really slight gray just to distinguish what we have here on the top. Okay. Now we really want to make this image nice and big. So I'm going to come over here to my rows, click on design, and then we're going to go to sizing because this is where we can enable this to be full width. Right. So that looks great. I'm going to click on custom gutter width and I'm going to set this to 2 and save. So now we can see that our images are nice and big. And when we click on this, this is going to be a gallery. So this is how you want to present your images because they're nice and big and it's easier now to see what is on the page. Right, so now that we have that, we can also add a title to this. So let's do that. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm just going to duplicate this and drag it into position. Okay, so that looks great. I'm just going to add some more spacing here. So let's go with 110. Okay, that looks fine. And then you can just give this a title of dental practice. Right, so pretty much this is what I will add on this landing page because you don't want to add too much information here because remember when people come to the site, they want to read like relevant information that is on the page. So I'm just going to save this for now and take a quick look. So when it comes to this information here, the special offers, I would create a specific section for the special offer, which has these offers. So that would need to be on its own page because you don't want to put too much on this single page because there'll be too much to read. So when people come to this page, they want to read about the dental surgery. They're looking at the services. So everything is, pretty much on one page. So you want to make sure that you have a button here, which says pretty much, check out our special offers. And then when they click that, this is where now you have a page which has these 4 special offers. Okay. And as I mentioned, I think in the review, I spoke about this subscription to add it as an exit pop-up. So when someone is about to leave the page, that pop-up will show up and that is where they can enter their details. So by doing that, you're pretty much not adding too much clutter on the website. So this is how I would design this dental practice. So this is the current website. This is the makeover. Today's episode is brought to you by divicake.com. Check out the huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link is in the description below. So there you have it. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And also, if you're new to designing websites, I have a course which I'm giving away for free. It's called WordPress Mastery. So this is a course which pretty much teaches you how to design websites using WordPress. So that's your starting point. It's 100% free. So go ahead and sign up for it. And if you want to take your designs to the next level, I also have a Divi course, which is at 50% discount at the moment. You can just use the coupon code DV50, and that will give you access to that course. So all that information and links to those courses is in the description below. Now, one final thing is, if you want to access all these courses absolutely free, you can do so by signing up for InMotion Hosting. This is the hosting company that I recommend. It's very, very good. I highly recommend it. So if you sign up your hosting using that company, just let me know by sending me an email and I will give you access to the course absolutely free. Until next time, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.